All right, 3, 2, 1. Alrighty, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Aussie Grappling Media Podcast. Serena is here. Serena's my first female guest.
Oh, shucks.
I was like, I don't have a female guest. Because I was waiting for someone to be like, you haven't had any female guests yet. So, Serena's my first female guest. Serena, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
For those people who don't know you,
Yeah.
who is Serena? Outside of Jiu-Jitsu is my question. Who is Serena outside of Jiu-Jitsu? Because everyone knows you from Jiu-Jitsu. Who are you outside of Jiu-Jitsu?
Let's see. There's life outside of Jiu-Jitsu?
No, there's not, but...
Okay.
You have an interesting life outside of Jiu-Jitsu.
Let's see. Outside of Jiu-Jitsu, I am a firefighter by profession. So that's how I pay my bills.
You don't pay your bills with Jiu-Jitsu?
Enough for this. What else? I'm an avid reader. I love being outdoors. Yeah, I'm a little bit nerdy, but...
Really? In what sense? Like, what nerdy sense are we talking?
I really love learning new things.
Okay.
I
love these books.
I have, 2 undergrad degrees, and
Wow.
I listen to podcasts most days and kind of just enjoy learning new shit.
Favorite book you've read?
Favorite book I've read? Of all time, or just...
In the last year.
I would say Eggshell Skull was a really interesting read this
I'm not gonna
year.
act like I know what that is, but yes.
It's a really interesting book about, very sadly, but it's about domestic violence and about the Australian legal system in the realm of domestic violence and women's rights. And it's told from the perspective of the daughter who survives her father killing her mom. And she turns out to be a lawyer.
Whoa.
She grows up and becomes a lawyer. And so it's really interesting to kind of hear this tale of kind of how she journeys through and processes and how that inspires her career choices and how it kind of shapes her relationships. And I think it's just a really holistic
book.
Kind of perspective on what can be a really challenging topic.
Yes. Now, that's very interesting.
Sorry,
No.
it
It got really dark really fast, but that's what we're here for. I like having conversations on a Jiu-Jitsu podcast that aren't necessarily Jiu-Jitsu, right? Because everyone looks at Jiu-Jitsu. We can all talk about Jiu-Jitsu all day.
It's true. It's one of my specialties.
But
just ask my friends.
outside of Jiu-Jitsu, we actually are people. What got you into Jiu-Jitsu in the first place? Because I think this is going to be very interesting, right? I've had obviously a lot of men on this podcast. It's all been men up to this point. I think boys, it's kind of UFC, but what makes a girl go, right, I'm going to enter a very male-dominant sport and try and succeed in it. I don't know if that's what you wanted at the start, but now, right, you're trying to succeed in a very male-dominant sport.
Yeah, for sure. I think I was really lucky. I got introduced to martial arts initially when I was quite young. So I tell a story about being in kindergarten and going to an underfunded public school, and basically a local martial arts gym owner offering to come in and teach a couple of classes to the student body. And that was kind of my first introduction to martial arts. And I had kind of various interactions with martial arts throughout my childhood. I briefly did a couple of different things and then didn't really do anything for most of my kind of adolescence. And then fast forward to high school, and I was not at all an athletic kid. And I realized that I needed to have some sort of a physical outlet, because otherwise I was going to be a terribly unhealthy, unfit teenager. Come, chill. And so I started to try to find a martial art again, because I kind of knew I enjoyed that in the past. And I went and tried a whole bunch of different martial arts, tried Muay Thai, tried kickboxing, tried karate, you name it, I tried it. And I went to a jiu-jitsu class and just fell in love and was like, I think this is my thing.
Yeah, nice.
And I think there was one girl on the mats when I went, and I thought that she was a total badass. And I think there was always an element in which having such a male-dominated environment kind of made it more appealing, because I love the challenge.
Okay, interesting.
And I love the challenge of the physical and the thinking through things, but I also admittedly really love
beating up guys.
I love proving guys wrong. It's just so satisfying.
I've had this conversation in the past.
My toxic trait, in a nutshell.
Basically, you're saying in another life we could have had Muay Thai fighter Sirena. Had you have fallen in love with Muay Thai?
Entirely
or
possible.
karate Sirena. That's actually interesting. It's funny, like you say that you like enjoy the trying to prove men wrong in the sport. The amount of girls that come into our gym, like little girls, and the parents like, I have this one little girl that just signed up. Her mom's like, you can't put her with another girl because she'll get upset. She just wants to beat up boys. And I was like, oh, okay. When I put her with one of the, I put her with one of the girls yesterday. She came up to me, she's like, I don't want to do this. She's like, I just want to beat up boys. And I was like, all right, sweet.
How old is this child?
She's like 4, I think.
Oh my gracious. That's brilliant.
Yes. What kept you coming back to training? Because, like you said, it's a very male-dominant sport. Surely there are days where you were like, this sucks, right? Like there's probably, especially at the time you started training, there probably wasn't very many women doing jiu-jitsu as we see now. What made you keep coming back?
I think for me, the honest answer is kind of layered, but when I found jiu-jitsu, I was more or less homeschooled. Like I was doing a distance education high school program, and I didn't really have a great social network. And I think I initially fell in love with the community of jiu-jitsu. And even though it wasn't necessarily the community that one would ordinarily associate with a 15-year-old girl.
Yeah.
I found an environment where there were some women and everybody was kind of, it very much felt like a misfit club. And I think I fell into that quite organically. And I think for a long time, the community kind of kept me there. And then I think when you add in, people talk about like the runner's high, right?
Yes.
I think you get a certain high from jiu-jitsu where, things start clicking and you get that, especially in the beginning, you get that constant satisfaction of feeling like you're constantly learning and there's new things that you're incorporating. And so I think you get a lot of positive feedback in those first kind of 18 to 24 months where everything's novel. Every win feels meaningful because you're starting from zero. So it can feel like you're making exponential progress at the outset. And I think that combination of factors really glued me to the sport initially.
Do you think the wins are also more meaningful because it was such a male-dominant sport for you? Like you getting these wins was like, okay, it feels more, I can't think of the word, not gratifying, but like it felt better because you're like, I'm doing well in a sport that women, I think, this doesn't sound bad, but weren't necessarily meant to do well in. Yeah,
for sure. I think honestly, I think that's something that has kept me going throughout my time in jiu-jitsu. This is a hard sport for everyone, right?
Yeah.
Like nobody walks into jiu-jitsu unless you're an ex-D1 wrestler and says, oh, jiu-jitsu's easy.
Yes.
Right? I think if you add that layer of always being at the disadvantage, size-wise, gender-wise, etc., like you're operating in an environment that wasn't really designed for you. And so I do think succeeding feels even more meaningful.
Yeah.
And like more of a victory, I guess, than it might otherwise.
And I suppose on that, did you always see, like when you first started, I don't think anyone sort of first starts and they're like, okay, I'm going to end up with the 2 belts we have in front of us. You get some guys, don't get me wrong, you get some people, they come in and to be honest, they don't last in the sport very long. At the very start, did you see this being something that like, I don't know, down the track, the 15-year-old you was like, I'm going to keep doing this? And did you think you'd be where you're at now?
Definitely not.
Yeah.
No. I mean, for starters, I think things like Subversion weren't even on my radar.
Yeah.
I'd have to double check a timeline. I'm not sure Subversion existed when I first started training. Way to date myself. No, to me, competition initially was just an opportunity to roll with people my own size
because
there were so few of them at my gym when I first started out. And that meant sometimes rolling against guys in juvenile division when I first started competing. And then it quickly escalated to being like a 16-year-old girl fighting grown women. Right? So it's like the competition side never started out with the intention of doing it at this level. I think I got really lucky because I took a big hiatus. I had a 5-year gap. And when I came back to Jiu-Jitsu, I didn't really plan on competing. I wanted to hand back my blue belt. I was like, can I start at the beginning? You can start at white belt. And my coach was like, no, you're going to start at blue where you've, worked your way up to. And they really encouraged me to compete. And I think I kind of found my footing in competition there. And then was really lucky when I came to 411. I wasn't really sure if I wanted to keep competing. And I had some really unique opportunities that the boys helped kind of find for me to compete. And I realized that was a really interesting way to challenge myself. But it was never really the goal. And to be honest, even now, I'm not really sure if it's I don't think competition is what keeps me in the sport at this point. So it's fun, and it's a cool way to kind of set goals and to measure your progress. But I think if your whole obsession with the sport is based around success in this very specific format, I just don't think you have a lot of longevity here.
What does keep you coming back then if it's not competition? What makes you want to keep training if it's not competition?
I think there's a season for everything. What keeps me in the sport changes constantly. Sometimes it's the community and wanting to create and be a part of. Sometimes it's the community I'm wanting to help build what I wish had existed when I started. Sometimes it's having really awesome coaches and teammates and just feeling like this is home. Sometimes it's the desire to learn new things and to develop in an area of my game that I haven't spent enough time working on. Sometimes it's wanting to win a particular tournament or have a fighting chance at a particular tournament. Sometimes it's just this is what's good for my brain and my body.
I want to touch on something you just brought up, because I see you do it a lot, and I see, especially shout out to Allison, I think you guys especially both do this very well, and that's building the community you didn't have. Why? No, obviously I know why that is, right? But at what point were you like, okay, I have a platform now where you probably don't want to admit it, but people look up to you, right? And you're like, I can use this.
Sorry.
You don't want to admit it, but there'll be people out there that look up to you, right? At what point were you like, okay, I can use this platform for good, and I can use it to create what I know at a time I needed and wasn't able to get, and I don't want people to go through that? At what point were you like, okay, this is what I want to do?
I think, how we make fun of white belts that coach other white belts?
Yes.
Yeah. And then we talk about blue belts coaching white belts.
Yeah.
And it's congrats, you have 3 whole puzzle pieces. And you are so bravely, so confidently instructing the next guy. I think the thing about being a female in jiu-jitsu, especially with the gender ratios that still exist, is it doesn't take long in the sport before you realize that you have the capacity to help somebody else.
Yeah.
You don't have to get that far down the track. So, I was coaching as a 4-stripe white belt. I was helping coach, introductory classes.
Yeah.
And as a blue belt, I started, when I came back to the sport in my 20s, I was coaching probably within a year of coming back to training.
Yeah.
So I think the moment that I was given those opportunities to kind of help mentor others, you kind of just naturally step into that position of it's hard to educate other people about technique without also educating them about all of the other stuff that kind of comes with being in this environment, from etiquette to, you know, how we interact with people outside of the gym, to, you know, what uniform you're wearing, and like because it's so small and so niche, I think there's like this natural inclination to want to like help everybody around you, especially the other women. So I feel like it kind of happened really organically very early on, and just as I've been in the sport longer and I've seen more people come through, the wealth of knowledge that I can share has grown unintentionally. That makes sense.
Yes, no, it does. I'm just like processing what you're actually saying, because it's interesting. It's like you make a good point, right? Your coaching is a white belt, which is like, now you look at that and you're like,
if I were to choose a white belt was coaching, I'd be like, excuse me.
How far do you see what you are building now going? Like, and with that, sort of two questions to that. How far do you see it going, and how far do you want to take it?
That's a really interesting question. I feel like I have stepped back from some of my community building efforts over the last kind of year and a half in favor of competing and focusing on my career and doing things that admittedly are a little bit more selfish in orientation. But I think that a lot of why I am doing what I'm doing now is to have the resources available to me later on, in terms of the experience, the knowledge, the financial independence, to be able to give back to, like, specifically the women's jiu-jitsu community long term. So I think like my aspirations for the future are a lot bigger than what exists right now. But in terms of specific kind of goals, I'm not really sure 100% what that looks like right now. And I think there's so many people doing such good things in this space right now that like the context that I'm going to walk into when I have freed up a little bit more time in, you know, whether it's a few months time or a couple of years time, like I think it's going to be really different to what it is right now, because I think we're seeing an exponential growth of the sport and exponential shifts in culture within the sport. And like what jiu-jitsu is right now versus what jiu-jitsu was in Sydney 2 years ago is very different. So I think in 2 years' time it's going to be different
even
again.
More different.
So
you touch on being selfish. Now, I'm very of the mindset that I think if you want to achieve what you want to achieve, you have to be selfish. And you kind of have to, I was having this conversation with someone yesterday, you have to be sort of believe in yourself to like almost an arrogant level to some people. I'm not saying that I think that you believe in yourself to an arrogant level, even though Sirena has bashed me many times and makes fun of me constantly for it.
I give back.
What makes you, I lost my train of thought then. Being selfish. Do you think it's selfish to do what you're doing now, or do you think it's not selfish because it's, like you say, going to get you to further places in the future? And do you think in the moment you're just like, oh, this is selfish because I could be doing more?
I think everything's a matter of perspective, to be honest. And we all operate with a finite amount of resources. And I think that being, like, I do think I'm being selfish now. And now I've lost my train of thought about being selfish and...
Are you, whether it's actually being selfish because you're putting yourself in a better place for the future?
Oh yeah, I think it's all a matter of perspective. And I think that you can always make the ends justify the means if you choose to have that mindset. But I, as somebody who is naturally quite a giving person, it's been really hard for me, particularly over the last year, as I've, like, ADCC was kind of, I've never given so much to comp prep as I have for ADCC trials. And it was and I've never done a tournament that's asked so much of me in terms of putting so much else of my life on hold, just because of the weight cut. And I think like mentally I really needed to do some huge growth in preparation for that tournament, because I'm not somebody who's really been very good about believing in myself in the past. And so I hope that all of the effort that I put into that gives me a better understanding and framework to kind of help educate other people in the future. But when I came out of at the back end of ADCC trials, I had this really big eye-opening moment of like, this is probably the most selfish I have ever been with my time and my resources and my energy in my whole life. And it was like, I had to spend a lot of time reflecting on if I was okay with being that person. Like, because being that selfish didn't really sit super well with me. So that's like something that I've continued to be reflecting on in terms of how do I be the competitor I want to be, and also be the friend I want to be, and the partner I want to be, and the coach I want to be, and like still give in all of my other roles, because it's like all fine, well and good to say that you're being selfish for the benefit of a future version of yourself, but it's like, you don't want to be so selfish that you isolate yourself and get to the end of that race and realize that you don't have people in your corner anymore, and that you don't have, you've almost sidelined yourself because you've lost your community along the way, if that makes sense. Especially when your end goal is always to give back. Yeah.
Now, touch on something quickly. I don't know if there's one. You were supposed to do the first Thailand trials.
Yeah.
And I remember the lead up to that. I specifically remember, and this is like probably, it was around that time that I started training here more, and like me and you would talk more. And I remember coming in one day and you were just like defeated. And you were just like, I'm done with this. What was that moment for you like? Because I remember being here and seeing it from an outside perspective and just being like, oh shit, like this meant so much to you. That first trials, the point where you were like, all right, I'm pulling out of this trials because my body, one, physically is giving up. Two, mentally, I think you'll admit you were like a bit drained by the whole thing. What was that moment of like, you have this goal and you sort of not fall short, because I don't think you ever fall short of a goal, right? I think you just got to a point where it's like, okay, this isn't possible. What was that moment for you like, and how did that feel?
I'm not somebody who does failure well, and at the same time I'm a person who very quickly jumps to the conclusion that I have failed at things, and that is a kind of toxic combination of mindsets to hold simultaneously. I was really distraught. For context, when I got to that point where I pulled out, I had an MRI scan, and my physio called me at like 9 o'clock at night with the results and was like, hey, you can't train at all anymore. Like, you need to stop all things, do not pass go, do not collect $200, you're not competing. You're like at a very real risk of totally snapping a bone. And that was scary unto itself, like being on the brink of such a severe injury. But obviously, there's all of those questions that go through your mind of like, could I have prevented this? Could I, should I have done something differently? Should I have picked up on this earlier? Yada, yada, yada. You also like feel oddly validated that the pain that you're in isn't just like you being weak. There's like a real medical cause. So I think there was like this very odd, like very practical set of kind of thoughts that were going through my brain. And then there were a whole bunch of emotions associated with working very hard for something and just knowing that you've missed the mark, but also kind of feeling relieved because it's like not you mentally giving up, it's like your body physically giving up in some weird way. I think I was just really overwhelmed. Like, I'm talking right now in circles, and it's because I think that's how I felt at the time. Of like, everything just felt kind of like a spiral. And I think I was really down and out about it initially, and then I had the benefit of some really great guidance from the people around me, being like, hey, this like isn't the end of the world. Raf, our our coach is like really good about reminding you that this is a jiu-jitsu tournament at the end of the day. And it's like, it's not the Olympics. Yeah. It's not life or death. It's not the difference between whether you're going to pay your bills tomorrow.
Yes.
This is, at the end of the day, if you can keep it in context, like this is all so temporary and so fleeting. And you know, I think once I could put a little bit more perspective around it and got out of the tunnel vision, you know, like it was fine. But at the time, I felt like my hopes and dreams were crashing around me.
So that's interesting, right? So you feel this like sense of failure, but relief. What advice off the back of that could you give someone who is, and I actually think it's interesting because I think you gave me advice after Subversion. I like hated jiu-jitsu. And I even said to Raf, I was like, dude, I just lost this match. I hate jiu-jitsu. In the grand scheme of things, it was a blue belt match. No one cares. And I think you pretty much said that to me. I think you said in a very less that way. It was toughen up, you little bitch. It'll be fine.
That's exactly how I phrased it.
But what advice can you give to someone who's sort of, there's probably maybe someone listening to this that's going through a very similar thing now, or in the future someone will stumble across this. What advice can you give to someone who's trying to deal with failure that you wish someone had told you at that time?
It's really interesting because there's all of the kind of usual feel-good stuff, like, you know, nobody gets to success without setbacks.
Yes. All the shit people tell you, and you're like,
failure is part of the journey. And it doesn't matter. I honestly, it's going to sound super cheesy, but I think the thing that was really instrumental to me getting through that was, this is a wasted learning opportunity if I don't like really take this on board. And for me, the application of that theory was, I was somebody who had very unsustainable training practices.
Yes.
Right? Like, I work a physically demanding job. I was doing all of my S&C. I was training 2, maybe 3 times a day on my days off. Like, it was not sustainable. I wasn't really eating enough. I wasn't nourishing my body. And when I kind of did the step back of, this is a wasted learning opportunity if I don't like take note and actually change some things moving forward. Like, taking that mindset was the difference between hiring a new dietitian and like really focusing in on, how do I feel at the end of every session? How do I feel at the end of every day? How do I feel at the end of every week? How am I being really honest with myself about what my body can do? And am I really critically analyzing how much I am pushing for the sake of evolving and how much I am pushing for the sake of stroking my ego and proving to myself that I can do something?
Yeah.
And I think if you are somebody who's going through a hard time right now, feel your feelings. Like, that's okay. That's part of the process.
Yeah.
But you've got to be able to take enough of a step back and critically analyze, like, okay, what can I do differently?
Yes.
What needs to change? Because otherwise you're falling into that definition of insanity of just like trying the same thing repeatedly and hitting your head against a wall. And that's, I reckon, like, that's truly the worst.
Yeah. Then moving on from that, 80cc trials on the Gold Coast. How?
It's not a sore point.
No. I'm like slowly moving away from story. How was that for you? So you've like, obviously didn't get the result you wanted. Different story. We'll touch on that. But from going from being at the point where you were like sort of had hit failure to then making weight and competing and putting on pretty good performance. How did that feel for you?
Outcome aside, I actually had the time of my life at trials, and I felt really good. I felt really strong. I felt really supported. I felt like I wanted to give it my all, and I don't think I have ever walked into a competition feeling so excited. Like, I think the road to trials was hell, but I had done so much work mentally, physically, spiritually to a certain extent. Like, I felt like I really got to trials, and because I had that really selfish kind of like path to trials, I do feel like in a lot of ways I rocked up and was like, I'm ready to put on a show. And I think that really helped with how I performed on the day, even if it didn't necessarily mean the outcome I wanted to. But I was like really happy with how I felt going into it.
Yeah. How was the weight cut for you? That was your biggest weight cut? I remember weighing you in and being like, whoa, this is a completely different Sirena. And I think I tried to make a joke to you at one point. I was telling this Carl the other day, and I was like, oh, you brought James's passport and you look like you were about to kill me. And I was like, no, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Look, honestly, I did a bit of a mid-camp shift in nutritionists or dietitians, and the shift, like, it was a bit rough because the first person I was working with had a very, very tight meal plan for me, and it was effective at cutting me down, but it wasn't effective at giving me energy to train.
Fueling you.
And then my training was kind of going to shit, and I was starting to have some health issues.
Yeah.
I mean, I can get into the nitty gritty if you want to know about my bowel movements.
No, looks straight up. Oh, good.
But I was like, okay, something's not working.
Yeah.
I went to my team and was like, hey, look, like, this is where I'm at. They recommended I try somebody different for the rest of my kind of diet plan. And that was great because when I swapped over, I had already done the hard work of cutting. And then it was really just like a matter of how do I stay this lean and maximally fuel performance for training. And then the like last kind of 2 weeks is really the gritty
cutting and
down to the gram cut. It was the first time I'd ever done that. I'm usually like pretty an outspoken advocate for against weight classes and like dramatically for weight cuts or for weight classes. Sorry. Like overall, I was really happy with how things went. And Alex Lamont, my nutritionist, is just like an absolute legend of a human being, and he really like stood by my side the whole way through and made sure that I was good to go. So I like overall, it was a really positive experience at the end, but there were definitely moments where I was like, why am I doing this? This is really hard, and I'm really unhappy, and all I want to do is like have a slice of pizza and drink a beer with my friends. Yeah. But we got there.
ADCC trials done now. What is next for you? Sorry, before we touch on just became the first female, I believe, to defend a Subversion belt. How did that feel?
That felt really good. That was, I mean, I could talk about that match for like 15 minutes and we don't have that much time, but that was a really cool experience. And doing it with Healy was especially awesome.
Shout out to Healy. She's actually a legend.
Shout out to Healy. She is awesome.
It was super nice. I was working backstage. It was super nice to me the whole time. And I was like, you're about to fight for a title. Like, you could just tell me to fuck off right now and I would not be mad.
She's actually such a legend.
Yeah.
And I think I was really lucky to have like a really good fight camp. I had lots of really cool women in my corner, like Allison and all of the girl squad. And then like having the 411 team behind me is amazing. And there's just like so many people that go into making that a thing. But Healy was like a really cool competitor because we had fought before and we had like pretty dynamic matches, but that was like early purple belt days and we've both changed our games really dramatically. And doing stand-up with an MMA fighter was
interesting.
Maybe one of the most questionable life choices I've ever made.
Yeah.
I live to tell the tale. So that was really cool, and just like I have a lot of time for Subversion, for Matt in particular, and the way that Matt and George run like this. We've both been involved in that from like all angles.
Oh, yeah.
And so like anytime that I get to do stuff on Subversion, I feel like very privileged.
Yeah.
So if anybody is ever like contemplating doing a submission only fight, particularly in Australia. Like, highly recommend trying to get onto a Subversion card. It's a really cool experience.
Yeah.
And they're always looking for new talent.
They always are. What's next for you, Sirena?
I just booked my flights for IBJJF Europeans.
Yes.
In October. So I'm gonna try to change my brain settings
from ADCC rules to IBJJF rules.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. Which is a lot harder than people think.
Wish me luck. And then I'm gonna see how my body pulls up after that. I would love to potentially do Worlds at the end of the year. And then, yeah, I think, I don't really know what 2027 holds just yet, but I'm crossing my fingers that maybe I can get another belt on the table for maybe another weight class.
We've had this conversation, yes. Me and you have had this conversation, yes, I know what you're talking about.
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Subversion.
Look, we're running out of time. Not really, but let's wrap this up. Quick fire questions. Your dream match in Jiu-Jitsu?
Ooh, my dream match in Jiu-Jitsu. Oh, there's so many.
Would you say you had one of your dream matches?
I have.
People forget about this.
Yeah.
You randomly fought Adele Fortorino in a gym in Rockdale on a random Saturday night. What was that experience like, quickly?
Simultaneously, the most soul-destroying and inspirational 4.5 minutes of my life.
Yeah.
Right before I thought that maybe my arm was gonna combust, if that was humanly possible.
Yep.
Highly recommend if you ever can, like, compete against your jiu-jitsu heroes. Do it. It doesn't matter if you lose.
Gordon Ryan, I want a match.
No, that was by far like one of the coolest moments of my jiu-jitsu career, and I would love to be able to do that again someday. But right now, honestly, like after my match with Margot at ADCC Trials, I would be really keen to have a rematch. I think that would be a really cool opportunity to, like, maybe not be so in my head and to try some other cool stuff. Yeah.
Hey, Matt and George, if you're listening, possible match. What is one bit of advice, if you could go back and you were trapped in a room with white belt Sirena, what is one bit of advice you would give white belt Sirena?
Not let this sport be about ego.
Ooh, interesting.
I think we kind of talked a little bit at the start of this about how tempting it is to just, particularly as a girl, to want to come in and prove yourself and to bash a bunch of boys. And as satisfying as it is when that happens, I think there's like a jiu-jitsu girls paradox where you can so quickly kind of go from feeling really empowered to really disempowered in this sport, especially when you let your ego do the talking. And it's a really double-edged sword being in this environment. And I think when you let yourself, like we're talking about the arrogance associated with like getting good at this sport. And I think unfortunately, all of these things just really lend themselves to your ego kind of growing more than it should. And if there's one thing that I wish I kind of was more mindful of from the outset, it's like finding ways to believe in yourself without letting like that fear come into it about like feeling like you're not good enough or you haven't like won, that one match with that, white belt. It's more like the white belt dude that outweighs you by 40 kilos and like feeling like jiu-jitsu shit because like, you couldn't fucking, sorry, pardon my French, you couldn't ankle lock him or something. Like, I think, or, you get bashed by that blue belt because you've overtrained that week. And like there's just all of these circumstances where, I think it's really easy to fall back on being like really self-critical as opposed to actually sitting back and being like, cool, I made a mistake.
Yeah. Let's move on.
Like, I think that's what white belt Sirena needed to hear was like, hey, just like care a little less.
Yes.
And like don't conflate your self-worth with your performance,
Yeah.
because like those are very different things.
I had a question, I forgot. Is there any shout out? No.
Let's just like keep talking.
No, it's good. It's giving me like, while you're talking, I'm trying to think of questions. It gives me a lot of them. I'm like, whoa, it's all over the place. My brain is also like riddled with ADHD, so
Vibes.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, here's the point. I'm just gonna
No, it's good.
talk around
It's
it
good.
for 8 minutes and then maybe get there.
Any shout outs you want to give?
Always. I mean, in particular, like 411, love being here. This is such an awesome community. If you're ever in Sydney, please come train. And then also just to like the amazing women's community that is in Sydney. People like Allison and Fran and Hope and Mia and like Jess Fraser. Like there's all of these amazing women who have been in this sport for various durations of time, who are all like really instrumental to making it, Michelle, like as vibrant as it is and as welcoming and inclusive as it is, and that's really cool. And then just like there's a whole bunch of people that are always in my corner, like my S&C coach Elliot, and
I hate that
like we can compare notes about how bad our my workouts are after this. I shout out Alex. I'm really grateful to be working with Humble. Like, I just think that nobody gets to go very far in this sport without having a whole bunch of people behind them. And so it's like anytime we do shout outs, I just want to like run through a list of people that I really love and adore and appreciate. Find your people. It makes such a difference to the longevity of this sport.
Yeah. Well, Sirena, thank you. Guys,
Thanks so much for having me.
If you want to do privates, if you want Sirena to teach classes, you should get her too. She's taught many classes I've been in. Seminars.
Yeah.
All of the above.
Hit me up.
Make sure you hit her up. Her Instagram will be in the description of this podcast. But Sirena, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much.
I'll see you guys in the next one.